Hi, I'm Marco from Gutierrez Photography. Thanks for watching this video. We're going to be doing a photo shoot, an underwater photo shoot this weekend with several of our high school seniors, and we thought we'd share some behind the scenes footage of how we set everything up and how we made it work, so that if you're trying to do something similar, it might be a good starting point for you. One of the things I'd recommend, if at all possible, is to shoot outside in a pool on a sunny day. Makes things a lot easier. You can use ambient light. It is March in Alaska. All of the water outside is still hard, frozen. So shooting outside this time of year, not really an option. So we're going to have to move into a pool, and the pools here are not well lit, so there's not enough ambient light for us to shoot, even at an extremely high ISO. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to light our subjects with lights from a strobe, or possibly two. And I'm going to show you how we're going to make all this happen. So first of all, cameras and water don't mix in a lot of ways. Earlier this year I took a camera swimming and it was not a happy day in my life. So we're going to be using an Outex housing for our camera. We've tried other housings in the past. The Outex housing is an excellent camera so long as you're not doing deep scuba diving. It's a great housing. At the depths we're going to be working, which will be less than 15 feet, it's great. And it's extremely affordable in comparison with some of the alternatives. The Outex housing that we'll be using, this one in particular, gives us the ability through this port to run a cable, which will allow us to directly connect our camera to the strobe with a PC cable. So a PC cable is an old school method of tripping the strobe from your camera. PC does not stand for personal computer. It stands for Prontor-Compur. It's a system that was developed in the early to mid 1950s to reliably trigger a strobe from a camera. And it requires us to use a cable. It requires that your camera have a PC connecting port, which our Canon 5D Mark IV does. Not all cameras do, and in a minute I'll show you what you can do if your camera does not have a PC port. So it's actually pretty simple. One end of the PC cable attaches to the port on the camera. The other end attaches to your strobe. In this case, the strobes that we're using are Elinchrom Style 1200 RXs. There's some old strobes that we've been using for over a decade. They're workhorses, and we still love them. These strobes on the back have a sync port, have a mini jack sync port. And so all we have to do is plug the other end of the cable into the mini jack sync port and turn the camera on, or turn the strobe on. So now the camera is connected by a PC cable to the strobe. All we have to do now is push the shutter release button and we're off to the races. There are some limitations to this type of a system because it's an old system. It does not pass ETTL communication instructions. The only instruction that the camera can pass to the strobe is to fire, which means that the camera will have to be operating at its synchronization speed. For a Canon 5D Mark IV, the synchronization speed is 1/160th of a second. I can push it to 1/200th of a second, but I start to get a little banding along one edge of the image. But 1/160th of a second for what we're doing today will be more than enough. Alright, so what we hope is that with the cable length that we've got, running from the camera to the strobe, I'll be able to position the strobe on the deck, out of the water, at the point where we want to illuminate our subjects from. And then we just fire. If we can't do that, we have to add another layer into our setup. So what will happen then is we'll use the camera to fire this strobe, and then this strobe, using the optical trigger on this 1200, will fire. So all we have to do is turn the strobe on, configure the strobe so that the optical trigger is enabled, and now what should happen, and I'm going to turn this so that it's not pointing in towards the camera. What happens now is this strobe fires a pulse of light, the optical trigger on the second RX 1200 picks it up and fires instantaneously. Now we can position the second strobe wherever we need it. So we're prepared to go in either direction, either a single strobe cabled or a single strobe firing a second strobe. All right. So what I'm going to do is show you the alternative if your camera does not have a PC connector. So this device has a PC port on it, and it has a contact to talk to the fire connector on the top of pretty much any camera. So we just slide this into the hot shoe, we get the PC connector, and we attach the PC connector directly to this device. Wait for it to power up, and there we go. And so now we're sending the fire instruction from the hot shoe on top of the camera instead of the PC port if your camera doesn't have one. All right, so one of the things that we're trying to do to position the single strobe where we want it is we wanted more cord length. Most of the cables that you can buy from places like B&H and Adorama typically run about, the long ones run about 20 or 25 feet. We wanted some more length, so we contacted Mike Bass, and Mike Bass made this custom-made cable for us. This one happens to be 60 feet long. Mike told me through our correspondence that he's made these cables as long as 100 or 120 feet, and they still fire reliably. So we felt 60 feet was probably good enough. One of the other differences about this cable is that the PC plugs themselves are screw locked. The PC port on our Canon 5D Mark IV is threaded so that this contact, when we put it onto the camera, we can screw it in, making a more reliable connection that won't come loose while we're shooting. The other end of this cable has not one but two connectors on it. And this was another thing that Mike Bass did for us. This is a custom end, is that we have a PC connector which is also screw locked, which means that any strobe that has a PC port on it, we could attach it using this. Our Canon 600EXs and 580EXs both have PC ports on them, so we could in fact connect this PC cable to a Canon speedlight and fire it through 60 feet of cable. It also has a standard mini jack, which I'm going to put into the strobe. So in this case now, we are firing the camera through 60 feet of cable, and it's firing reliably, even just like it did with the shorter 20-foot cable. So this should allow us to put this strobe where we need it and not have to fire through two strobes, but we're prepared. The system is pretty simple in design. It's a single cable running from our camera to our strobe. The big catch is that it's going to be inside of the Outex housing. I'm not going to show you how to put a camera into an Outex housing or how to attach the cable ports. Outex has a number of videos that explain that, and we'll link to them below. But we will show you the setup poolside before we start shooting on Saturday to show it to you with all the parts in their housings on the deck, and then we'll put it in the water, do some test shooting so that you can see it, get some underwater footage, and then show you some of our finished results. If you have any questions, please feel free to give us a contact. Our email address is below. We'd love to chat with you, find out what you're doing, and if there's any way we can help you figure out how to do it better. Okay? Or you could show us how to do it better. At any rate, good shooting, and we'll see you on Saturday. Thanks. Hi, well, welcome back. It's actually Sunday. We did some test shooting yesterday. We're getting ready for our seniors that are going to be showing up here in just a few minutes to shoot. We wanted to show you the setup that we talked about on the first session here poolside. So now we've got our Canon 5D Mark IV in our Outex housing with the 120 millimeter dome port on the front. The cable adapter allows us to run the PC cable we talked about out of the housing to the back end of our Elinchrom 1200 RX. It's pretty bomb-proof system. I'm going to turn this just a bit so you can see it fire. And what I'll do is in a second I'll get in the water, put the camera underneath so I can show you that we'll be able to fire this reliably from under the water. We did this yesterday as a test just to make sure that everything was working, and we didn't get any misfires. Okay, so I'm obviously in the water now. I've got the camera in the housing. I'm going to put the housing under the water, and there we go. Light fires reliably every time. Okay, so that's the setup. We'll show you a little bit of behind the scenes footage of us shooting, and then we'll show you some finished images after we're done. All right, thanks for joining us.